Hello and welcome, Francis here. Thank you for coming back to my channel. If this is your first time here, I bid thee welcome. There is a subscribe button below if you would like to help support this channel by subscribing, and also a bell to be notified as to when I upload more content. I'm coming to you from Ghana country, and as such, I acknowledge the Ghana people of the Adelaide Plains as being the traditional custodians of this land. So this video is going to be about the upcoming new moon that we have. It's going to be on the 3rd of September here in Adelaide at 11:25 a.m. However, in the US, it's going to be on the 2nd, and I think other parts of the world, it's also going to be in the early hours of the 3rd. So check out the time zones and what they relate to you. It will be 11 degrees 4 minutes of Virgo. So when the moon is new, that means it's when the sun and the moon are conjunct, they're next to each other, and due to the sort of merging of these two energies, this is why people think it's a good time to set intentions, especially how they relate to the Virgo energy. Now, Virgo energy is all about being precise, being organized, taking the time to action things to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and seeing what's working and what's not working, and making those minor adjustments to make sure that everything is what you want. So if you've got your astrological chart, your birth chart, your natal chart, have a look to see what house Virgo is in, and at 11 degrees, whether there is any planets or points at that area. So just before we look at this new moon, there are another couple of important transits that are happening just before this new moon. So it's going to be influencing it. They've been occurring around about the 2nd of September. So in the US, I think it might even be the 1st, depending on where you are. And I think if you are a new moon manifester, if you do like manifesting at the new moon, it's rather important to take note of these transits, because the first one that we have that's actually taking place on the 1st is Uranus stationing retrograde. So when, and I've mentioned this before, when the outer planets, when they sort of station, and this is like when they station retrograde or when they station direct, it's almost like an ocean liner slowing down to turn direction. So when an ocean liner slows down, it's sort of like a really huge force. And this is what's going to be happening around about the 1st, or even a little bit before that. And it will be influencing the new moon, because we are really going to be feeling this energy either side of the actual day, so either on the 31st or the 2nd of September, and depending on the time and date, and it's going to be really magnified. So it's interesting to note that Uranus is connected with earthquakes, and now that could be physical earthquakes, what's happening on the earth plane, or it could be like financial earthquakes, or just, you know, the news bomb dropping. With Uranus still in Taurus too, so it'd be something that's really connected with the earth. So volcanoes, seismic activity. Of course, Taurus is also connected with our values as well. Uranus is also connected with electricity, electrical currents. It's also connected with air travel, so we may have issues with air travel, internet outages and the like. Not so long ago, we had that CloudStrike outage that was connected with Uranus. Uranus is actually 27 degrees 15 minutes of Taurus, and it has an 84-year orbit, meaning that the last time Uranus was at this point, right, really interesting, it was back in 1941 when the US entered World War II after the bombing of Pearl. Something to consider, not saying that the US is going to enter another war, we hope not, but there's a bit of unrest happening at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what pans out. So on a personal level, again, look at your chart. Do you have any planets or points between 26 to 28 degrees of the fixed signs? So this is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. If so, you may be feeling somewhat agitated or restless. You may even have this desire to sort of break free, because Uranus is all about freedom. It's connected with the higher mind, your authenticity. It's almost like a higher vibration of Mercury. And there could also be a desire to follow these really deep instincts that are sort of bubbling away under the surface. And if you don't follow these instincts, the universe usually has an uncanny way of forcing your hand, so to speak. And now the second important transit is Pluto. And then what the outer planet is moving back into Capricorn on the 2nd. And so it will be at the undertake, or the really end degree point of Capricorn, 29 minutes, 29 degrees, 49 minutes. And so this sort of like brings up the shadow side of Pluto, and will stay there until the 19th of November before it enters Aquarius again. But this will be the last time that Pluto will be in Capricorn during our lifetime, because it has a 248-year cycle. Thank goodness for that. So again, look to see if you've got any planets or points around 28 or 29 degrees of the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, or even up to 1 degree of the aforementioned fixed signs. And if so, you may actually feel a little bit like a pressure cooker happening, because Pluto is demanding that you transform, like a snake shedding its skin, and it's wanting you to change. And so things won't be the same. And as Pam Gregory points out in her video, and please check out the astrologers below this recording, because I'm not an astrologer, I just have an interest in astrology. Uranus is about rapid, shocking change. It has a 1-year transit. Pluto, however, wants us to deep dive. It has a 2-year transit to bring about profound, intensive change. So this is all good for our own personal development, our own personal empowerment. And I've mentioned recently, I think, in the recent video about the full moon, about the anoretic or crisis degree points, because this is where the shadow of that planet comes to light, or of the sign in particular. So Capricorn is about big business, it's about the government, it's about controls, it's about corporations. It's sort of like the top-down power, as Pam Gregory points out. Power being held over people, being controlled. Uranus is the freedom fighter. It's about power to the people. And as Pluto is at the anoretic point, it's almost like it's the sort of like the last hurrah, the last control aspect before that power is removed. This could mean that the voice is louder than ever before. However, it's hollow. It's all words, no action. And this is because fewer people are actually listening or paying attention to it anymore. And they know that it won't last. They've seen through the guys, so to speak. So if such controlling energy, people in particular, are in your life, it's best not to engage in this energy. Keep in mind, be mindful that after November, Pluto, which is the planet of power, is going to be moving into Aquarius, and Aquarius represents the people. So it's going to be this complete shift of power, hopefully, away from corporations, big business, more to the people. So more localized as opposed to the centralization of knowledge. Also, when planets station retrograde, they tend to be closer to the Earth. And over the next few months, we're going to have Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, all retrograde, which means that we could really possibly feel these archetypes even stronger than before. So it's important to breathe. It's important to have self-care mechanisms or practices. Take time out, schedule appointments with yourself where you can relax and just chill out, because things could be a little bit rocky, depending on how sensitive you are to these energies. Okay, let's come back to the new moon. So 11 degrees, 4 minutes of Virgo. Virgo is a mutable earth sign, so it's very adaptable. It relates to methodologies, analysing facts and figures, as well as getting things right, as I said, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. It likes to drill down to the minute details in order to make progress. Virgo is also about sharpening our discernment, streamlining and simplifying our lives or our minds, because it is a planetary ruler of Mercury. Well, its planetary ruler is Mercury, I should say. And so it's about getting rid of clutter, bad habits, patterns that are outdated, ways of thinking that we no longer align with, looking at our environment, our health. There's a connection with diet, addictions, etc. So, as in general, we all have a lot of blockages, especially coming up. And I think, yes, it's good to say, think that we all are. And this is because of our energetics at the moment. I said there's a lot of change happening, a lot of planets at the analytic degree, a lot of shifts happening. So it's almost like all those things that we've swept under the rug is coming to the surface, which isn't necessarily a bad thing when you look at things from a more esoteric or metaphysical perspective. Because the subconscious run of negative thoughts need to come to our end if we want to progress further, if we're into self-empowerment or self-improvement. So it could be negative thoughts, it could be our own negative thoughts, not just those of the collective around us. It could be, I mean, intergenerational trauma is a big key thing at the moment. So it could be our personal past lives or what we have inherited, the roles that we have played out that have gone through generations upon generations. So all of these are needing to have a good and hard look at and clean out. And Virgo really is a perfect sign to do this because it likes cleaning. It's linked to cleansing. It's linked to detoxifying and also purifying. And another aspect of Virgo is little acts of kindness. So be kind to ourselves, allow ourselves some self-care, allow ourselves to say no, that we need time out and admit that. But it's also connecting into being of service to other people as well. And also a reminder to bring joy in the little things. So it could be just, I don't know, if you have a garden and you've got some roses or plants flowering, just bring in some flowers for somebody, or a flower. Someone who's going through a little bit of a hard time. Smile at somebody. Give a few bucks to a homeless person, or buy them a cup of coffee or something like that. Just these little acts of joy, and also look to see where you can bring joy into your own. I have a bird bath outside my kitchen window, and even when I'm probably the only person in the world who doesn't have a dishwasher, but when I hand wash my dishes, what brings me joy is just watching the dynamics between the pigeons and the sparrows and the starlings and all the other birds that utilize that bird bath. So just little things like that. Back to this new moon. So we have Saturn retrograde opposing the new moon at 16 degrees 25 minutes of Pisces, which indicates a slowdown because it's retrograde. And this is because there is something that needs to be taken care of, maybe due to procrastination. We've been putting it off, or it's been harder than what we thought it would be, so we've been delaying it, or we've realized that our decision may actually result in someone being disappointed. So we're beginning to reconsider our priorities. So go back to your body. Go within, listen to your heart, listen to your body, because it might actually be a sign that you need to step back from your responsibilities in order to get a bigger picture and therefore to make a clearer decision. Virgo is also linked with gut health. Pisces is linked with the blood and the immune system, and also viruses. And Pam Gregory mentioned that as Saturn is all about restriction, and with it being at the analytic degree point of Pisces, this could possibly indicate maybe health restrictions due to a virus. Not putting it out there, but just maybe. We don't know. This possibility, however, is strengthened because Pluto has moved back into Capricorn. Again, as we've just mentioned, Capricorn is all about power, the sort of like control over. But Uranus is stationing retrograde just prior to this new moon, so it's going to bring in a little bit of rebellious energy as well. So there could be some shocks, especially too, that this is the first hard angle, the square between Saturn and Pluto after their conjunction back on the 21st, I think, of January 2020, which is often perceived as the start of the pandemic. We all went into lockdown, so just when they started realizing that something was not quite. So when it comes to the first square, and this is what's coming up, this is almost like the testing point, especially as at the collective, to see what has emerged since 2020, since that conjunction, what will happen at the new moon. It's almost like a sort of a test, see if we've learned anything. Now, I'm not going to put it out there because I know recently there's a little bit of sort of news chatter about another virus. This virus has been around for a while, but it's beginning to get a little bit of chatter happening about it. So who knows? Again, it's just putting it out there to be a little bit more mindful. Another planet at its anaretic point is Mars. Mars is 20, or nearing its anaretic point, is 28 degrees 54 minutes of Gemini, as well as being in an exact square to Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces. So again, we have a lot of planets at their anaretic or crisis point. However, Pam Gregory again pointed out that Mars and Neptune are also on the world axis, which is in some astrologers' circles between 28 degrees of the mutable signs, which is Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, and 2 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn. And this means that big events could be thrown onto the world stage. So with Mars being in Gemini, Mars can be heated. So maybe be careful about angry words. Gemini, social media, how we talk to other people. So maybe if people are getting under your skin, take a breath before you respond. Pisces is thrown into the mix, and Pisces, of course, is connected with water. So there could be issues, or what's coming to light is about toxic water or pollution. Now, this is rather interesting. Pam Gregory did her video a few days before this. There was a few days before. And then here in Australia, we had a television program that was actually exposing the use of water licenses in the Northern Territory. So that's around Darwin, top end of the country, and cotton farmers. And you grow cotton, you use a lot of water. Now, I didn't actually watch the report, but it was talking about the toxic pollution that was going back into the waterway. So I found that really interesting. Neptune's also thrown into the mix. Neptune clouds the truth being seen, because it's all about illusions. So again, there is a need to use personal discernment, which is Virgo, by dropping into your heart, seeing where these things land for you. Molly McCord, which is another astrologer that I will link below, mentions that this new moon marks the eclipse season. So it could be because two weeks after this new moon, it will be the lunar eclipse, which will be in Pisces, and will be conjunct Neptune at 26 degrees. Saturn will be also opposing this new moon. So Saturn's asking us to sort of check in with this Pisces energy, especially with the upcoming lunar eclipse. Again, because it's going to get louder. It's going to ask us what we need to surrender to release, especially with this eclipse season coming up, because this will be actually heightened. Now, the planetary ruler of our new moon in Virgo is Mercury, and it's just stationed direct at 23 degrees, 16 minutes of Leo. It's trining Chiron, which is the wounded healer, which is in retrograde in Aries at 22 degrees, 54 minutes. And Molly McCord mentioned that some astrologers see a connection between Chiron and Virgo. So what this actually means is that the two alleged rulers of Virgo are in fire signs. And this means that they are encouraging you to make steps towards maybe improving your health, your general well-being. Aries is all about our self-identity. Chiron is asking us to work on accepting these parts of our identity, to work with the trauma that may have been inflicted upon our self-identity, especially if we connect them with our inner child. Leo is about gaining confidence and strength with respect to the choices that we make. So it's almost like we are being cosmically supported, not only to clear stuff out of our lives, but also to take these big next steps. So in summary, it's another new moon asking us to clear things out, to tidy up all the loose ends, to organize our lives in readiness for what is about to take place, especially on a cosmic level. With Uranus in Taurus, Pluto in Capricorn, the new moon in Virgo, these are all earth signs. And so these are connected with our values, our physical self. The real need to sort of breathe, to keep grounded, to return to the body, especially if you're finding yourself becoming overwhelmed. Virgo is also reminding us to just manage what we can manage. Don't take on any more than you can handle. It's okay to say no, especially if your energy, depending on where you depict it, you need to prioritize yourself so that you do not become distracted. And again, watch that you're not overcommitting yourself. And as always, remember to breathe. So I hope you find this update of interest. Please feel free to put any comments below. I do go back and read the comments. If you haven't done also already, it would be wonderful if you could support my channel by subscribing. Happy New Year. Blessings.